What's up? Hey guys, what's up? What's up? What's up? What's up? How we doing? Look at that punctuality right there. 5 o'clock. Boom. You know, just working on my timing. Speaking about timing, we're going to talk about some timing. Let's talk about some timing. Boom. I'm gonna give you guys a second to get in, get after it. I think I made this all open, so it should be all open. I just had the best little, Sunday early dinner. So we're gonna talk about some times. We're gonna do some math. You guys want to have some math problems? Who's a good math person? Let's see. But okay. I'm going to do some for you guys because I like you. Insert. All right. Let's see if I can do this. I have to hold it. Okay. So this is episode 4, by the way. This is episode 4. It's out of order because I'm going to be interviewing people here as the live goes on, but this is going to be a interview that features some family members, some other guests, and but to kick things off, we're really going to hone in on this time frame. So what I've done for you guys, let's see if I can do this so that I can do settings. Let's see, camera. Pick up the camera. Perfect. Okay. I'm setting something up for you guys. I want you to see something. See if this will work. I could do share screen, but I don't want to use, I want to be able to do something else. So okay. I think I should be able to see this. Boom. Okay. I was going to use my whiteboard, but I'm going to save that because you guys aren't ready for my whiteboard. All right. First things first, we're really going to hone in here on this time frame right here. Okay. And this time frame here. So one of my reenactments that I did, you guys can see this is 29 minutes. Actually, I'm going to go a little bigger. Okay. 11:10, 11:39. So what we're talking about, if those of you guys haven't been following along, this is the Sheldon Jeter Jr. case. This is the criminal homicide investigation into proving that Sheldon Jeter Jr. had nothing to do with the unfortunate death of Tyreek Pugh. Okay. So right here, 11:10 is the time that the SUV leaves, supposedly, and 11:39 comes back. 29 minutes in which Sheldon Jeter Jr. went up to the hill, dropped off medicine. Pugh decides he wants to walk to work and not have Sheldon drop him off. This is where he was supposedly to take, multiple gunshots. At the bottom of Keel Street is where the body's located, but that he basically has 29 minutes to commit this homicide. Now, he has been spotted 9:15 a.m. on Brewster's camera, which is an ice cream place, Hopewell. At 10:34, the SUV is seen coming back and then leaving again at 11:10. And then it's seen arriving back at 11:39. But meanwhile, 11:36 and 11:37, you have this SUV being seen on the two cousins' camera. And then the next, as it's continuing to go west, it's on the Dollar General camera. So this would mean that now it's not this. The murder had to happen, obviously. So we're going to go like this. Insert. If they're leaving Orchard, I did the reenactment, and that is a 5 to 7 minute drive to where this medicine was supposed to be dropped off. Plan 6 up on the hill. Okay. So we'll go in between it. We'll go 11:16. Now, to come back then down the hill where he would have been seen. What was going on basically between 11:16 and this is what they want us to believe, guys. He's up on the hill, gets there, hands off the medicine. Let's say he just said a couple words, even though witness statement says he just handed it off and left, didn't stay, gave it and left. But plan 6 arrival, and let's go ahead and just say like a 5-minute talk. But 11:21. I want you guys to see something here, even though this is not what has happened, but what basically transpired between 11:16 to 11:34. But yet, if Pugh's walking from the Plan 6 house where the medicine was dropped off. Okay, just so you guys can see that this, for him to be walking on foot and to be where he was at the bottom of that hill, again, did a reenactment of it. Okay, that is a good at least 15-minute walk. And that's being generous. Okay. So this is what would have had to have happened. They got up to the hill and arrived at 11:16. He's talking, but right when they arrive, Pugh starts walking. Because in order to be walking and to get all the way down the hill, okay, it's going to take you 15 minutes. No doubt about it. So if you're going off of 15 minutes, what he just do? Get out of the car, like, oh, you know what? I'm just going to walk. Okay. So he just takes off walking. 15 minutes puts you 11:31 at the bottom of the hill. Okay. If Jeter stays there and is just talking for a couple minutes, then gets in his car and was to drive down the hill, he's at the bottom of the hill at 11:24, and he's just waiting for Pugh to get down to the bottom of the hill to then shoot him at 11:31. But wait, he's on Two Cousins camera at 11:36. He would have been on Two Cousins camera at 11:33, 34. I mean, if you're getting the hell out of there, if you shoot somebody and they're right there in the middle of the road, how would Jeter be able to get around him? Was he pulled up, parked off to the side, waited for him to walk down there? I mean, how do they think that this happened? How could this possibly have happened? Those two leave in a vehicle, go up to the hill, and is at this house, would have been seen by Dollar General camera to go there, first of all. Got to add that in. Where's the Dollar General going up the hill? Because it's right there. You have to make a right there on the corner. So they would have been seen on that at like 11:13. Let's just go for their time frame. How does this happen? So they would have been seen on this camera, which we haven't seen. I haven't seen. No one has seen. If you're just being a detective and you don't know anything about this and you're given this time frame, 11:10 to 11:29 or 11:39, okay? This doesn't take anybody being anything special except to do some math, go to the site, work the case. And that's what I did. Okay? I didn't just reach out to somebody and be like, "Oh my God, this kid's so innocent." No, I went back and looked at the facts. And you're telling me that he's leaving on camera, then Dollar General should have him on camera going up the hill, which I'll show you guys where you would be seen. I did the drive. It takes you at least 6 minutes to get from the house to up the hill, unless you are flying, okay? Then you pass off this medicine, this gout medicine, okay? Let's say you talk for a couple minutes, so 5 minutes, and now, well, where's Pugh in all of this? Oh, Pugh walked. He was walking. Okay. So now you're going to bring in 3 other people, which are going to be whoever was at the house. Did they see Pugh? We don't know that because I don't have that witness statement. Whoever was at that house. Now, let's say that, oh, Sheldon's lying. He wasn't going to walk to work. You know, he's just saying that way that they separated. Okay, let's say that he's lying. Okay, well, if the person says that he came in, handed the medicine, and left, I'm being kind to give 5 minutes. So if Pew was waiting in the vehicle, Sheldon gets back in the car, they would have then been, okay, down at the bottom of the hill at 11, 24, 11:25. So if he shoots him at that point, that SUV that sees him at 11:36 and 11:37, that doesn't add up because the shooting would have been right around 11:26. Unless he just decided to shoot him and just stand around for 10 minutes, which that doesn't make any sense. Because they're going with this camera and they're saying that this vehicle is Pew's or is Jeter's, the 11:36 one and the 11:37 one. Okay. That means that you're shooting what they're going to try to say, or what they should be trying to say, is that the shooting had to occur right before this. And then we have to also take into account this 911 call at 11:41. Okay. So, and then witness 1, witness 2, witness 3, witness 4, them coming up, seeing a dead body, no one calling 911, going back down, and all of a sudden that van's there. So let's talk about this time frame. Now, what nobody wants to talk about is this, the Orchard arrival at 10:34. Okay. And this is what I wanted to talk about, which was, we're going to talk about, again, I can do my own investigation. And with my own investigation, I interviewed and witnessed people. So I have a hard time with this. This is what's missing. I don't know if you guys have ever heard of the Roosevelt. It's a drug-infested apartment complex in Aliquippa, the Roosevelt. Well, gave someone $50 and it came out of the pocket of somebody. So went to the Roosevelt. Wait, but then we have to drop off somebody. That was up in plan. 12, I think. 4. I can't even keep all of them together. Again, none of this is accounted for. Because Sheldon had to drop off his uncle. That's what this is. Then after that, actually, I have the order wrong. Cafe, Plan 12, Roosevelt, then back to Orchard. Okay, which is this arrival here at 10:34. Now this makes way more sense of places that you had to stop before you got to Orchard. Because if you leave the ice cream place at the time that it would have closed, if you went directly home, you would have been home way before 10:34. So this is, again, what I talked with the family about and other witnesses and other people that lived around the area that had surveillance. So now I was able to figure out and gap between 9:15 and 10:34 the whereabouts of people. And a car that left Orchard to go get ice cream had 4 people. It came back with 3 because they had to drop somebody off. So at 10:34, they're at Orchard. Remember the statement I told you? He had talked to the family member at about 10 and made plans to take this. That's what this medicine. Well, and they all thought that they left at 10:34 or at 10:30. So could Jeter just have been off 30 minutes when he's giving these time frames the first time he was talked to ever? Absolutely. Yeah, I think I talked to this person around 10, and then probably like around 10:30 I went, or did he really go and do that then? But we're just talking about somebody that's giving a statement at, 1, 2, 3 o'clock in the morning and just throwing out times. I mean, unless he had a appointment and somewhere to be. Oh, I know that I was going there at this time because I had to work and this is what time I have to be there, which makes sense on when you would know where you're supposed to be and what time. But if you're out and about, driving around, stopping places and doing things, what time did I talk to this person? I would probably like 10. I probably, left around, I don't know, 30 minutes later. Like if you're being questioned and not able to use your cell phone and looking at things and you're just speaking freely, is it the fact that Jeter was lying? No, he was just ballparking things. But again, no mention about any of this stuff, even though after the fact it was talked about. So we're going to go back to $11.10. 29 minutes. 29 minutes to get in your vehicle and be seen leaving. Go to Plan 6, drop off medicine, kill somebody that's close to your family at the bottom of Heel Street, drive away, and be back home at 11:39. And these two cameras making it so that the shooting had to be right before that, just a couple minutes. That puts us in the ballpark of 11:33, 11:34 time frame. And yet the person that calls 911, okay, is at 11:41 because a van rolled up on the body. So 7 minutes, 8 minutes would have went by. Nobody calls. Nobody heard the gunshots to call at that time. You hear gunshots. And now let's go back and look at the Rachael DelTondo case. Rachael was shot, they want to say at 10:45 p.m. There was a 911 call at 10:48 p.m. within 3 minutes because somebody said they heard gunshots. People were texting each other about gunshots being heard. Within 3 minutes, somebody's calling about hearing gunshots. 3 minutes. This case is a shooting at around 11:34, 11:33, and nobody calls 911. Nobody hears anything. But at 11:41, 8 minutes later, somebody in a vehicle that rolled up on the body calls 911. Oh, we got Betsy here. Betsy wants to talk about that phone. We will talk about it. Let's all just go back to this, and that if everybody's statement is that they never saw Pew go to that house, come into that house, anything like that, because they never saw him, they just saw Sheldon hand off the medicine and he left. Okay. That would take just a couple minutes. And so you're going to be at the bottom of that hill way before 11:33. Now, if accounts are correct and he drops off the medicine and Pew just says, oh, I'm just going to walk to work. Don't worry about me. Go ahead and leave. And really Pew didn't want to leave where he was, or where he was. That was just a ploy, okay, for him to just fall back or whatever. It's a couple things just don't add up here. There has to be conversation being had. If you think that SUV is Sheldon's being seen at 11:37 and 11:36. So then what I decided to do was, regardless if that's really his SUV or not, okay, because this is all just going off of police words. I mean, they can just, I guess, say whatever they want. But let's say that this is not his vehicle. And they got the wrong, it's just another SUV. But if we're able to prove this, and it did come back at that time, then you're still working with a time frame of 29 minutes. But insert witness coming from work and who has to go up the hill and who was seen on camera leaving this place at 11:23, 11:27, and that drive is 10 to 13 minutes, and you didn't pass anybody. You didn't pass a dead body. You didn't pass a roped off, you didn't pass anybody walking. You didn't cross paths with Sheldon because that's the house that they were dropping off the medicine. No paths were crossed. No bodies were found. The only way that you went was right where the body was. How is that possible? And you claim that you heard the gunshots at 11:50 or midnight. How is that possible? Now, if Sheldon's always being followed, it's very simple to know when he would do this, that, or the other. Check this out. Insert witness for me. Her name is going to be anonymous, but witness A. Witness A tells me that, oh yeah, they had to go do that medicine thing, but not before they had to come pick it up because they forgot it. So, excuse me? Well, lo and behold, if we add in this gappage that I kept saying, where's this time? If he just drove up there, handed this to somebody, got back in the vehicle and drove away and went back to the house, I did that reenactment, and it is not going to take you 29 minutes to do. Okay. Well, if you have to make a stop to actually pick up the medicine from somewhere else, now you add in that time, and now we're getting somewhere. But who knows what type of investigation they're running. This is my own investigation. Again, gunshots heard, yes. No body seen. This person was easily able to get up the hill. Okay. And it works both ways. If they were able to get up the hill, all right. If they were able to get up the hill with no body, but here, there's the police are on scene at 11:43. The calls at this time. So there's a body by this time, is what they're claiming. But yet gunshots aren't heard until 11:50 to if you add 10 to 13 minutes onto 11:23, like I said the other night, you're looking at this witness would have been 33 to driving up and arriving at home. So just a couple minutes before that. That's right. No body. No body, no Pew, no Sheldon between this time frame. Green light. Why this is so important, why this witness is so important, is because they were heading from work to the house where the medicine was brought. And then 11:50 to 12 a.m. gunshots. Now, again, Rachael DelTondo, within 3 minutes, police are called. If this shooting happens as they claim, nobody called due to hearing gunshots. They called because of a van, because of a person calling in and saying that there was a unconscious person in the middle of the road. Then I pulled up a bunch of the old articles, and there's conflicting statements. There's conflicting statements about there being gambling going on at the house where the medicine was dropped off, and that those two, meaning Pew and Sheldon, tried to hang out, but they weren't allowed in. They said, basically, get the hell out of here. Then there was a statement that Jeter's vehicle was seen at like 10:30 on surveillance versus 11:30. So there's all these conflicting statements that if you actually go and look at the papers and the internet and whatever from these, reporters, because when they like to report something like the day it happens, it's like the worst reporting you could ever ask for. How are you going to know anything? We're live here. Someone just got shot an hour ago. We're live here. Yeah, I have no clue what's going on, but I'm live here. There's a dead body. You know what I mean? Like you don't have any information. And then even like the next day when you'd be reporting, you don't have any information. So all of the early information that everybody would hear about this specific case, looking at it after doing this, it's just, wow. So let's see. Betsy, we'll talk about your your phone here in a second. But let's see. Because it made the papers with Jeter's statement saying that that, you know, he walked, like he, whatever the heck he did, I don't know what he did, but I was no longer with him after basically the medicine. And to me, that makes perfect sense. Would you want to be, if there's a plan in place to separate yourself from somebody, okay, there's a plan in place because of something that might be going down, how do you separate yourself from that person? Oh, you know, I'll just walk to work. I'll just hang out here for a minute or whatever. Go ahead, go on. So then Jeter leaves, goes down the hill, because now it makes sense. Now when you add in so that takes you 6 minutes to go where you had to go to go get the medicine that you forgot to get from the person that was previously with you. If I just switch it off. And then, so that takes you 5-6 minutes to get there. Then from there, it takes you 5 to 6 minutes to get to where you were actually going. And now this is like booking it, guys. This is like worst case scenario. And then you're there for 5 minutes. This is all 5, 5, 5. You know, you want to throw in a couple extra minutes here and there. You're looking at around 11:30, 11:31. And then now you're leaving and now you're driving down. Which from the house where the meds was dropped off is roughly it's like 9 minutes. 6 minutes if you're flying and don't hit a light. 9 minutes if you know, catch at least one of them. If you catch at least one light, it's a 9-minute drive. And what does that put you at? Look at that. And add 9 to that. That's putting Jeter right back where he was. Leaves, has to go pick up the meds because he forgot to grab them from the person when they originally had got them. Leaves there, goes then to the place that he has to drop them off, walks inside, gives them, and now walks back to his car, gets in his car, and then drives back down to go back to Orchard. That is your time frame. And that accounts for basically almost every damn minute of it. So where did this young man have time to just say, you know what, okay, get out of my car and I'm just going to shoot you? What? What? But unless you talk to people, you don't get the whole story. And then you got, especially guys, especially boys, 20-year-old, 21-year-olds trying to tell you a story. Oh man, I just went and kicked it with my friend. Well, what did you do between that time and the time you went to get ice cream? I just dropped off a friend. And then did you go inside? You know what I mean? You have to like pull teeth to get stuff out of people. So once the cops got what they needed, which was just a smither of a couple things, okay, we're good to go. Don't ask anything more. We got what we want. Now, what makes a lot of sense to me is I don't believe that there is the 1139 on the camera of the neighbor because it wasn't listed in one of the probable cause. There's only the 1110. Also, when you're just jotting something down to get the probable cause and you're watching from a tablet and not from a hard drive that's actually pulling the evidence, okay, and you're just making notes or whatever of it, could it be really easy to mess up and make make it see 1139, but it was really 1129, or if it was this time or that time, whatever. But I don't believe any of it. We got some new members. What's up? What's up? What's up? What's up? What's up? So the thing that I'm going to get a lot of like heat for, they want to say heat, is that I want to start blaming other people for this. No, I'm saying if I believe that Sheldon didn't do it, but his gun is the actual murder weapon, you have to start explaining how that's possible. How is that possible? If Sheldon is innocent, but his gun did the killing, how do you explain that? How do you explain that? And now, how are you going to explain that to a jury to find this man innocent? So basically, what sucks in this case is that normally the state has to prove, okay, beyond a reasonable doubt, their case. Well, Sheldon's gun doing the killing is very, what they want to call, that's pretty strong evidence. How could this not be a setup? How can this be looked at any other way than either Sheldon either did it or that somebody did this with his gun and then it got back into his house? So, and I think that when people come over here and are following these lives, they think that I'm talking about the Sheldon Jeter, Rachael DelTondo case. First of all, that's not even a case. Rachael DelTondo is an unsolved homicide. Okay. I'm helping both of these families. And I now consider it like 4 families that I feel like I'm helping because, you know, Rachel's family, so that they can have justice, but also not be getting it wrong by a wrongful conviction. Then you got Sheldon's family. Then you also have Pugh's family. Everybody forgets about Pugh's family. Pugh deserves justice, right? Save Sheldon, justice for Pugh. That Pugh's family deserves to know the truth, and they don't. I wouldn't want justice by convicting somebody that did not do this. Sheldon was never charged in any case ever beforehand. Nobody was. Nobody was. A couple people were interviewed, and a couple search warrants were issued in the Rachael DelTondo case, but there's been no arrestings, no nothing. Okay. I'm simply saying that in order for Sheldon, it's either Sheldon did this, and that's what I told the family, and I'll tell it to the world. Either Sheldon did this or he was set up, because when you talk about the gun that was used. Now, I haven't seen any of the ballistics or anything like that, but if they all match up and that gun was the murder weapon and that's his gun, well, either Sheldon used it or somebody else did. Well, is it Callie? Is it, well, the evidence that Sheldon did it in the Pew case right now, the evidence that they're saying that they have on him are obviously his gun. His gun, you know, that's what they're circumstantial as far as these alleged, you know, surveillance cameras, which let's see them. But and then you have to go to the why. So if Sheldon was set up, why? Why was he set up? How was he set up, and why? And why Pew? And then it all starts with the house. Was the house open? If that person has the surveillance cameras across the street and it's motion detected, well, what was going on that day? Who was in that house? Like I was saying the other day, Sheldon, where's your gun at? When do you carry it where? What's normal? Have you ever been to a range before? Have you ever shot your gun before? He just bought that gun in 2019. Okay, so that gun wasn't even around in 2018 with the DelTondo case. You know, then you're recovering items from the house, and you go again based on the probable cause. That's how you got, you know, then other search warrants and stuff like that. But your probable cause, everything came from the fact that the police beelined it. I mean, literally. What statements are they gathering from anybody as to why they went to Sheldon's home that night? And they're saying that they went there because his identification that he had on him had that address. Well, isn't that convenient? But he hasn't lived there in years. Lana, can you remind me what time the guy inside the house heard the gunshots before the other guy came in and told him he just saw a dead man? None of those people ever gave time frames. The only person that gave the time frames was because they're going based on, they're using the language of witness 1's at his house. Witness 2 arrives a couple minutes later at his house and says, oh my gosh, I just passed a dead body. And then they gather themselves, they go down to the body, but before they do that, another person is right there or comes over. So now there's 3 people, and then they go back down to where the body is, and that's where they see the van with this person, and they say, I've already called 911. So, and according to, if you're going to go based off of all that, they never gave their times in the probable cause, but then you have to just go off of the time of then the 911. I will say this, if that person passed the dead body and went up past the dead body and went up to the hill, that body was in the middle of the road. Okay. And if they pass it, oh my gosh, I just passed the dead body. Oh, let me just keep on going. Go all the way up to the hill. And again, don't know which house it is, where it could be all back in there, whatever, which one it is. But I know for a fact that would take you a couple minutes to get, like, 2 minutes. Then you're telling this to somebody, and then this other person's, coming over, and then 2 more minutes to get down. I mean, that's a 5-minute ordeal. That's a 5-minute ordeal. So then you want to subtract 11:41 when you got back down there, subtract 5 minutes from that, and that's 11:36 that person would have been passing. Well, wouldn't they be passing Sheldon Jeter Jr. right there at 11:36? Because suppose that's when he's seen on Two Cousins. Do you understand what type of time frame we're talking about? That, Sheldon's just missed by everybody. Nobody sees Sheldon anywhere around there. It doesn't add up. But then when you look at their statements, again, this is just going off of the probable cause. This is the probable cause stuff. When you actually look at the witness statements, and they're talking about, 11:10 or 11:50 in midnight hearing gunshots. And who the sets of the finger, I don't know any of that. All I know is this, is if the gun was taken and it would be in the hands of somebody else, let's say, you have to wipe down, that gun, unless you're obviously carrying, handling it with gloves. But if you wipe down that gun, though, there'd be no prints on that gun. If you're trying to get all the prints off of that gun, there'd be no prints on that gun. I mean, I believe that the prosecution's going to go with robbery. There is no MO. There is no MO. And the number one thing I said, it was start pulling all the financials then. If it's about stimulus checks, did Pugh have a bunch of cash on him? I mean, usually everybody got their stimulus check. Some people did get paper checks. Some people got their direct deposits. I mean, you also have to file, your taxes. I mean, if you have to file taxes right. This is May 15th. So if he got his stimulus around that time, all of that's paper trail to see when he was given his stimulus. So you'd go and check and see when Pugh got his stimulus check. So that first stimulus check was, I think everybody that was an adult got $1,200 that first time. But was it direct deposited though? Now, if it was sent in a paper check, well, what address are you sending it to? Because the address is the same one as Sheldon's. That's on your, that's your ID. I don't know. It's going to go wherever you filed your taxes and whatever you put on your taxes as your address. So did any of those witnesses implicate him in any way? I know he was with Pew earlier, but any statements from them that were leading? No, I mean, especially not in the probable cause warrant or the probable cause affidavit. It was just simply about, nope. And I haven't been able to see, the word for word statements of, I think all witnesses in their statement should be protected, especially like people that are afraid to come forward. So I think in that town, protecting witnesses is very important. But I think it says a lot, though, when you don't want to use some of your witnesses that you do have. Yeah, Jeter was employed. The financial angle is a joke. Jeter didn't have any bills to pay. He's living rent free. The only bills he has to pay is his phone bill. He would give his grandfather, and obviously help him out with everything. But his income, more or less, is disposable income. Which kid at that age isn't? He has no babies. He has no kids. He wasn't in a relationship, like as far as like dating somebody in a serious relationship. The vehicle he was driving, because he had just gotten back his license. So the vehicle he was driving was his uncle's. Didn't pay for that. He paid for his cell phone bill, and like I said, he did a lot of help with the church. I know he had just bought a camera, like a recording camera. Not sure what type or whatever, but he bought it for the church, but they were using it that day. Well, where's all the recordings from they were using that camcorder that day? I want to see all those. But he got it so that the church could do a bunch of streaming during COVID, to help out his, grandfather, uncle. It's his, again, there's paper trails on all this stuff. If you really believe your client's innocent, you have to know why he's innocent. You can't just say like, oh, he didn't do it. So I just think in this case, what sucks is that I feel like the state, there's actually more pressure on the defense in his situation to actually almost prove his innocence versus the state having to, because of the gun. But if you can show it, which I'd be showing all the Orchard video of everybody coming and going, like I said, that week, that day. It wasn't 600, guys. $1,200 is what the stimulus was, I believe. 1,200. The kids were 600. If you had a child, you got $600 per child, but you as an adult got 1,200. So Pew would have got 1,200, not 600. Kids were 600. Actually, the first one go around, man, everybody may have been the same. Either way, that's just bogus. Let's see. So I think it'll be telling, you want to have your expert witness that's going to talk about the gunshot wounds and which ones came first, second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth, however many there are. I think that's going to be very telling in this case. And then you go to the phone records, and, from all accounts, Pew was on his phone that whole day. Who was he talking to? Who was he texting? Who was he on social media with? If none of this stuff is in the defense's possession, this is a problem. this is very problematic. And rumor on the street right now is that it's not. You know, I hope that it is rumor. This man is going to trial, and I'd be asking for a continuance. If I didn't have those things. I think another big thing, I mean, is, you know, Aliquippa, even though it is a small little area with, I think, right around 9 or 10,000 people, Dollar General and Two Cousins aren't the only places that have surveillance. So something that I was very adamant about was, where is this other, were other places contacted to get surveillance? I.e. the Roosevelts. There's cameras all over that place on the side. You know, then you go look at Brewster's and, okay, they want a timestamp 9:15. Well, was 9:15, was that when they arrived? Was that when they left? You know, you're using that footage to basically show what he was wearing that day. Well, why couldn't the footage from Orchard show what he was wearing that day? And then, like I said, a very interesting, you know, comment is to hear that he possibly went up the hill twice. Well, that makes sense, actually. Because of what would have happened earlier before coming home at 10:34. So they were over that way before coming home at 10:34. And then, you know, question is does Jeter take the stand? Do you put Jeter on the stand? Jeter has an iPhone. I mean, did Jeter have any apps? Did he have Google where it recorded where he went? What did his phone, you know, show? All this stuff. And I want you guys to see one thing. Because like I said, I dig. It wasn't until I went and actually spent time in Aliquippa to understand that good luck working with those cell towers and thinking that you're going to be able to tell someone's geolocation, because it's all so close together that it'd be very interesting to see an expert, you know, watch and dissect when you're just talking about going a mile down the road. Well, just because their phone shows up on that tower, but they were a mile down the road, if they were a mile the other way, it would show up if they were over there. So I think that'd be inconclusive no matter what. Like, you wouldn't be able to use it. And I think that's what kind of happened with the Rachael DelTondo case. And I also think that they didn't take the main roads right after the shooting. They went back down towards Angela Street. If you guys know anything about that case. I feel like I know Aliquippa like the back of my hand. Okay, now something I want to show you guys. You guys look it up for yourself. This is the United States Department of Justice. Okay. And the Western District of Pennsylvania. If you go and check this out. Okay, Aliquippa woman received packages of fentanyl shipped from overseas. Okay. See this date here? See that date? I'm not going to say the names, but this person of Elko, PA, pleaded guilty to 1 count of conspiracy to distribute and possess to distribute 40 grams or more of fentanyl before Chief United States District Judge Mark Hornak. In connection with the guilty plea, the court was advised that between September 2016 and July 2017, this person provided co-conspirators an address to receive packages of fentanyl shipped from overseas into the Western District of Pennsylvania. So there was an exchange of a plea of guilty, aka a plea deal, and that there was a sentencing for May 29th, 2020. And that the law provides for a total sentence of 40 years in prison and a $5 million fine under the federal sentencing guidelines. Again, the judge can do what they want, all this stuff, blah, 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 blah. The prosecution is part of a long-term investigation by the FBI Greater Pittsburgh Safe Streets Task Force, which targeted a large-scale drug trafficking organization operating in Butler, Beaver, and Allegheny counties. All these police departments were involved. The Department of Homeland Security investigators also assisted in the investigation, leading to the superseding indictment in this case. Huge, big bust. Huge, big bust. Huge bust. Okay. There's a huge, big thing going on. Okay, you guys need to learn about your little towns down there. Anyways, this is very important in the Sheldon Jeter Jr. Pew case. No doubt about it. This is everything in that case. Again, you can look it up for yourselves if you don't believe me. So, this person has not done a day. No sentencing. And it's June. It's June 2021. That sentencing was 2 weeks. It was supposed to happen May 29th, 2020. Pew was murdered, killed, criminal homicide, May 15th, 2020. 2 weeks before that sentencing was supposed to occur. Again, you be the judge. I'll just be the investigator. Now, I know it's a crazy world we live in. You know what's crazy, though? Crazy part about it is they know. They all know. Okay. But why Sheldon Jeter Jr.? You know, the other thing is you want some gout medicine, well, come on by and pick it up yourself. Why is Sheldon being a gopher? You know, come get your medicine for whoever. You want something, come get it. You know, you want this, you want that. The time. Solana, have you talked to oh yeah, I'm working with his family. This is one of my peeps. Jackie 13th Zero. This is one of my peeps, babe. This is one of my peeps. for as low profile as it's been, it's actually very high profile. So, it's a crazy, crazy thing. Yes, the gout meds are actually throwing me off. So what it is Mike dropping mama. I don't know if you saw the previous stuff, but everything to do with that day was not normal. Except for it was a Friday. Sheldon went to work from 9 to 5, gets back at the house around 6, hanging out, eating, and then they decided to go get ice cream and leave, before it got dark, 8:30, 9 o'clock. But earlier during the day, the things that were abnormal was Pew hadn't been around in a while, and he told his mom he was going to be kicking it with Rev, who is Sheldon Jeter's grandfather, well known in the community, runs one of the churches. And so he was at his house. He was hanging out with him throughout the day. Sheldon was nowhere around because he was at work. That house then was very exposed to, not only Pew, but possibly other people. If Pew, in fact, got, the Rev and, others to be away from the home, maybe for the home to then someone to go into it. But at the end of the day, if a gun is used in a homicide, whoever it belongs to is definitely going to be prime suspect number one. Why was your gun used in this killing? And then to find out that you were just with him, that whole evening. But yet you're with family, like I said, doing the whole ice cream thing. And when I say family, Sheldon was with his family, and his grandfather helped at certain times, helped raise Pew. There's an 8-year difference, if not more, of Pew and Sheldon. They weren't like best friends or anything like that, or like brothers or anything like that. They had no beef, though. There was just, whatever. Just not too many 30, 31-year-olds hang out with 21, 22-year-old, 20, 21-year-olds. It's a big gap. So trust me, it was very difficult for me to have to break the news to the family that I said this was a complete setup. But when I say that, that means it had to work from the inside out. And then I did more digging with information I was, receiving. And I put some connections together. But this all goes back to the Rachael DelTondo case. And that's the whole why Sheldon. Do I think that Alicopa needed to cover their asses? Absolutely. Do I think this has anything to do with Frank Atropa? Nope, I don't. I don't think Frank runs the whole damn police departments of surrounding areas, plus the FBI, plus the greater Pittsburgh forensics. No, I don't. So I want to make that perfectly clear. When I was talking about families that need to be cleared of things, families that deserve justice, families that, Megan was on here earlier, and I think that she should be able to raise her children, around the stigma of all of this. I most certainly would ask if their family could help in any way possible, if they knew stuff, or if they could help with Sheldon. Nobody should be going to prison for something that they didn't do. But this was definitely a setup. And it's dangerous when you're talking about a setup, especially when you're talking about it being set up possibly with the police and other law enforcement agencies. So they use the information you sniffed out. Well put there, Lynn. Well put. I think that they'd be stupid if they didn't, but do you think it's possible law enforcement could be like, Frank is a friend, et cetera, et cetera? We need to pass this through and cover thing and or... No. Al Cooper was, and they may still be under, the police department was being investigated. People that don't know about the Rachael DelTondo case, you know, there was a leak of personal information that got out. Now, on one of my lives, I said this, that Frank would be an idiot to release that to the media. I think people don't know the actual facts around it. When the leak came in October with these anonymous emails, okay, these so-called anonymous emails, they weren't leaked from the police department. The police department didn't send these out. These came from an anonymous email, supposedly, to the Beaver Countyan, who then put it out there. Well, why would the Beaver Countyan, run by John Paul, put out something if in fact he was working with Rachael, like he claimed that Rachael could come to him? Now, once again, I'm not saying who did what, where, when, why. I'm saying the probability of something, and then what? You have all this, the town thinks that Frank did all this, and then he's just going to go murder Rachael on Mother's Day. I mean, that's pretty stupid if you ask me. But do I think that somebody could have possibly wanted Frank to go down for something? Maybe. You know, I don't think people look at things when they have such emotions involved clearly. Like I said, I dissected both cases pretty deep. And I know that people out there think that Mother's Day was a message. Okay. Well, how about this for a message? Pugh's grandma died on the same day that Pugh was murdered. So, I mean, wow, talk about a coincidence. I mean, these are huge dates to people in their lives, and these loved ones are getting killed on days that mean a lot to people, right? And let's see. You know, who plots a murder on Mother's Day? Right there in itself. So Frank then every Mother's Day has to think of that when he wants to celebrate, you know, Megan and his mom. Why would that? Doesn't make any sense. And something so irrational, okay, I'm going to do like this. I mean, what? He's not a thinker. I think he's a pretty good business person. And so you're telling me he's not going to think things through? I mean, that day's forever going to be remembered. And that's your mom's Mother's Day too. That's your wife, or soon to be, her Mother's Day. And for the rest of your life on Mother's Day, you have to remember that. I just don't think people, so, you know, and then for Sheldon Jeter, you're going to be so calculated and have all this stuff down pat. What gun did you use? You didn't even own one when the murder of Rachael happened, and you're just getting away with something so cleanly, and then 2 years later commit one of the sloppiest, arrested within 12 to 14 hours of the crime, something like that. I mean, the crime happened, let's say at 11, let's just say midnight. They were at his house within 3 hours. They had a probable cause within 12 after that. So that's 15 arrested. Yeah, 18 hours. Within 18 hours arrested. I don't know what's so far-fetched, true crime gutter, but your name is saying it all right there, gutter. No one's being blamed here. I don't know what's far-fetched about cops not doing their jobs. It happens all the time. I mean, I think that we just went through a huge thing with the George Floyd case. I mean, come on. So something else that people want to talk about is the fake alibi shirt. And I really want to give props to Megan, because she was the one that posted that to her social media. She owned it. I read her response and she owned it. It's a drunken, stupid moment, and yada yada. So she didn't deny it. She took accountability for it. She was very sincere in her she's known Rachael. She knows the DelTondo family. She meant no disrespect for them, but the way that it could come across, like it was just in poor taste, and she couldn't believe that she did that. And to know what it's like to go through for herself, she's went through the loss of her brother before that, to that motorcycle accident. I mean, but Megan was younger. She's 10 years, I think, younger than, I think I'm the same age as Frank. So I just give her mad props for, that's a mature thing to do. And that's just respectable. That shows character. None of us are perfect, and, emotions are running high, and the person that you love is being blamed for something so heinous, and you do something stupid, but then you realize, God, I just made a huge mistake, and you own it. And that's what she did. And like I said, I commend her for all of that. Yeah, so these supposed timelines and this, there needs to be more attention and awareness to this case. And I feel like this has been sped along so quickly as to try to get this in and out. And that makes me nervous due to what type of an outcome can happen when you do something like that. And so that's my fear right now, is just to see the quickness that they tried to, to do with this. Like I said, this was brought up. They wanted this to go to trial, March 24th. He was, just arrested on the 16th of May, the previous year. And during COVID, it just, and then I saw, obviously I went through the different entries, and it just didn't see any fight in, and I hope I just see that fight, you know, they're just laying back, but I hope I see that tiger fight instinct or with this trial, because, you know, the lawyer that Jeter has, McKinney, is a good lawyer. You guys can look him up, Randall. This is why people become attorneys. People become attorneys when situations like this arise. Your client is innocent. He's battling a huge uphill battle. But, you know, when someone's innocent, I'm telling you, there's things out there to prove that. But you have to do your work. You have to do your legwork. If you don't, then he's going to prison. I mean, it's that simple. But if you do your job and you do your legwork, but sometimes you don't need 4 lawyers. Sometimes you just need 1 or 2 lawyers, and then you need 2 people doing all the grunt work to get you a case. So I hope that's what they have prepared and prepped for, because otherwise, if you don't think you're taking on the police department, you are with this case. Quick and speedy trial, not always the best idea. It's offered to you to have something, you know, a quick and speedy, you know, but when you're talking about, you know, criminal homicide, that's, if you feel like you're not prepared, you need to be prepared. If you feel like everything hasn't been turned over to you, if you feel like, you know, just hope they got an ace in the hole. So talking back about the setup, I'll lay it out there. I believe 100% Jeter was set up. Setup is different than just like he's not the guy. No, he was set up to be the guy. And that it was a double cross situation. And that his ID, being Jeter's house, is everything in this case. So keep talking amongst yourself in chat, love. I gotta grab a piece of paper. Welcome back. Let's see this cam. Let's see what we got. So this trial is for 2. No. You never go, I don't know. No. Not at all. Mic drop a mama. No. This trial is for one case, and that's the death of Pugh. Sky, Jeter was set up to be the guy. No. Yeah, Jeter was set up to be the guy, but you have to have steps why. Okay. It's so that they could, I believe after this, they are going to go after Sheldon Jeter for the Rachael DelTondo case. Okay. But you need to start somewhere, and you got to put him back in trouble. You got to get him in trouble. You got to get, but it's like, why? Why Jeter? And then how do you get him? And then how are you going to get people that are close to him or that family to engage in something remotely like this? Well, I would say cutting a deal with 40 years prison time to do none. That may be a pretty good reason. So Jeter wasn't just some random guy. He just turned 22. He's not just some random kid. His significance and why he was set up was because of the Rachael DelTondo case. But how you got people to participate, because the cops just didn't walk in there, go take his gun and walk out. If you think that that's what happened, guys, it's just not what happened. I mean, who knows? Maybe maybe their balls were that big. But what do you think his chances of getting a fair and proper trial are, and that the full truth will come out about all the corruption? Well, that's why I think Pugh's dead because of what he, that's where the whole double cross comes in. So to try to show all the corruption, I mean, the Alacoma Police Department was on scene, and then they had to dial in to call the Pennsylvania State Police to come and, basically take over the investigation, because due to the fact that they are on whatever, it's suspension, like they're on some probation or whatever they're on, they can't do certain things. And I think that in order to get a fair trial, I just don't think I don't think the trial should be where it's located. But they didn't even motion to try to get it moved. His lawyers did not even try to get I looked all through the entries. I didn't see one, motion to move the trial. I mean, I think that they had grounds to do that because of the Rachael DelTondo case. Or I should say that because of the Rachael DelTondo homicide, that they had grounds to move this case. Yep, they did not put in for a change of venue. Nope, they did not, which I think is kind of just ineffective of them, may you. Mike, drop and mama, love you. Okay, I thought so. I'm not always the sharpest tool in the shed. I'm not always the brightest crayon in the box. I'll take ownership of this. Love you. I love you. I think that I hope that some people have the courage, to come forward. But it's almost like it's, too late right now. I mean, jury selection begins tomorrow. And I am just baffled. So people don't come forward because maybe they're scared. But I think that even if people didn't come forward, with the way technology is nowadays, that if you pound the pavement enough, at the end of the day, you can subpoena whoever the heck you want. If somebody says they're at home, but they were, 60 miles away, your phone is going to show that. If a witness wants to get up there and say, I'm going to plead the fifth, okay. But I think that you at least have to do your job. Do your job. Do your job. I think the most interesting part about this case will be who the state thinks that they're calling as witness 1 through 4. I'll be waiting for that. I'll also be waiting for these, surveillance videos that they have. And I just want to see how clear cut that they think that these vehicles are. And I do think they're going to come back that's, I'm not doubting that's Jeter's vehicle. I'm doubting, I want to hear the 911 tape. And, yeah, they don't want to be a snitch. I wouldn't want to say snitch. I mean, the more people that you tell that you're doing something like this, but that's not, there wasn't like multiple, like it wasn't like a gang that did this. I just think that if people seen something that maybe they weren't supposed to see, if they happen to see it, and if they can prove what they saw based on their locations but let's say that they think this is for financial gains. I mean, what do you think that Jeter just put all this money in his bank account the next day or something? I mean, what? No. He was at work all day, comes home, hanging out, then they go get ice cream. But the whole time he's thinking, I just can't wait to kill this kid who he hasn't seen, mind you. He hasn't seen Pew in like forever. It's not like he kicks it with him every day. Oh, hey, you know what? I just have a beef with it. I'm going to shoot him today. I mean, come on. What? The shooter? I think the shooter was definitely experienced. I mean, I think the order of the bullets, where they were, that's really important. He was laying face up, not face down. If you're walking and you're walking on a hill that's slanted a certain way, You know, I just personally believe if there's DNA on the gun, why would Pugh's DNA be on the gun? That means the gun would have had to touch him. Is it because he handled it? How close were the gunshot wounds? How many DNAs were on the gun? Fingerprints, the gunpowder, like where was the gun located in the house? Like I was saying, hypothetically speaking, if it was underneath the mattress and it's between the mattress and the box spring, I mean, there'd be residue in between there. Was that ever tested? Was it taken? Was this gun in his clothing? So like after you were to shoot somebody and then you tuck it back in between, your pants and your body underneath your shirt. I mean, is there going to be gunpowder residue there on your clothing? Oh yeah, there's going to be definitely. They have expert testimony. They're going to have all of this. It's when the prosecution has their expert witnesses, the defense has theirs. So two experts could see something differently, but if they can prove it scientifically, then it can be to the jury. You have to think about this, guys. I mean, especially when I see people comment in my stuff sometimes, the jury is going to be, 12 people, and they're the ones that decide the fate of Sheldon. So the way that you must defend Sheldon is the jury has to understand it. The jury has to get what you're saying. And you have to hone in on reasonable doubt. Reasonable doubt all day. And how you do that, in my opinion, with this case, is you have to talk about the Rachael DelTondo case. If you make this an isolated incident and that it has nothing to do with that, I think that's a mistake. That's me. You're going to have, 100 different lawyers can say it one way, but you have to decide either you're going to defend it as a isolated incident or you're going to defend it as, talking about what I've just been talking about, which is that Sheldon was a target, and it was a setup, and yada, yada, yada. So he was walking toward the shooter or facing... Yes, he definitely was not shot in the back. It just depends on if you guys watched and saw how Keel Street is. To be driving in a car together, if you left the house and went down and were going down towards the hill, Pugh is perfectly where you would need to be 100% exposed and just seen immediately if you were a vehicle. So if they make it an isolated incident, will the outcome be different? I think if you make it an isolated incident, you're going to have a hard time explaining how his gun did the crime, but not him. An isolated incident would be like, okay, what? How do you explain how Sheldon's gun did the murder, but Sheldon didn't? Oh, because Pugh took it. Wait, what? No, why would Pugh take it? Why was Sheldon's gun there? I mean, when I say an isolated incident, say that there's no other parts to it except for the people involved, that there was, what would be the reason for his gun to have done this, but not Sheldon? Let's see. I think he handed the gun off to someone and they shot him on the spot. He would be alive. Exactly. That's exactly what happened. That's exactly what happened. Yeah, so you need it to be joined to the other one, so. Not understanding your question there, Purple. That's a possibility with the to moon and back, to the moon and back again. Possibility. Or it's just a huge coincidence that, you know, no sentencing, no nothing, everything about that day. I don't believe in coincidences. I believe in fate. You know what fate means? Fuck after the evening. Fate. But I don't believe in coincidences. I got kicked out. What? Sorry, my brain is slow after my meds. What? How many meds are you taking over there, Purple? Get it. You can't have a lot of people knowing about something like this, so it's not like there'd be like 10 people involved in this setup. This is, I mean, who's on the hot spot? Alcoa Police is on the hot spot. How quickly was this to this to this? Who knew that Pew's address would be matching? That takes some work. That takes, like, you know, figuring out a way to be able to do this. Who would know that, those things? You can beeline it straight to, you know, you're waiting for this. You're either waiting for this opportunity or you have to go seize the opportunity. And the seizing of the opportunity is Pew deciding to just go there and hang out that day. And you have to find out, I mean, now I don't know. I just don't see how this is an isolated incident because of the gun. If, let's say the gun was never found and the gun was thrown into the water or something like that, and the gun was never found, but they still have all this, you know, let's say that they have everything that they have minus the gun. Okay. Then you would treat this as in my opinion, then you would treat it as an isolated incident. The gun is what makes it so that you can't, in my opinion. You want a turkey sandwich? You want some sliders? It's my boy. Why don't you want some steak and lobster? Meatloaf, Mom! To the moon and back again. I love you. He just made a deep ass deal with the devil. I wouldn't be surprised if he doesn't come up deceased. Just saying. Who made a deal with the devil? Pew's dead. What? What? I didn't mean to hit that. Jax, no screaming, please. All right, guys, I'm going to be rounding this up, but I'll be back later to do, like I said, I told you we were doing Jeter all day, baby. Jeter all day. Jax James. But I'm going to shut up now. That's my favorite comment. I'm going to put that up there. Bye, guys. Have a good one. I heard you, Jax James.